Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sick of This Shit Publications. I am your host, Shane Yirak, not your son, and I am joined today for our Intelligent Masculinity series to continue our interviews with not your dad and someone you might recognize, Nick Paro.
Hey, what's up, brother? How's it
What's
going?
going on, everybody? I'm excited to be here today. Quite a while ago, when Nick set off on this journey and we did the first interview, I said, I'll come back and interview you at the end. And we're like, done. And we've had this on the calendar for a month, over a month now.
Yeah, it's
And
been almost 2 months now that we put it on
yeah,
the calendar.
like this is something like if you've been watching this regularly and I've watched a couple of the interviews. I'll be the first to say that I love Nick's work, but as many of you know, I'm a busy guy as well. But some of these interviews, Nick, have been fantastic. I was particularly impressed with the interview you did with Kazem Rashid.
Qasim is amazing.
It was truly an eye-opening discussion, in a way that I think what you can get from these discussions is not what you would expect at all. And so why I think I'm really excited to have the opportunity to kind of do for you what you do for so many other wonderful people today is hopefully maybe help you explore some of the things that you've learned by throwing the questions back at you. So, yeah, Courtney in the chat says the guy here looks vaguely familiar. You might recognize me. Evan Fields, so glad you're here with us today. Also an intelligent man.
Welcome, brother.
Super excited to get started. But, I think that before I go any farther, I just want to say that, I am lucky to know Nick. I'm lucky to have an opportunity to work with Nick as closely as I do. And mostly I'm lucky to have Nick looking out for me because he is a good person to have in your corner. So
Thanks,
thank
man.
you,
I appreciate
Nick,
that.
for everything you do for this whole community and for doing this. I mean, no one has come out and said it's important that we talk about intelligent masculinity, that we challenge the manosphere. It's a discussion that, you and me had a long time ago. And it wasn't like this. It was like an offhanded thought. And to see you create something so poignantly targeted towards something that people don't talk about, to make this a study, in a sense, to create a case study in intelligent masculinity. Super cool, man. And you're doing the things that are the hard work that no one else wants to put in, because dealing with these deep cultural challenges, these gender roles, these expectations, it's the bedrock of challenging autocracy, fascism, because these things leverage hate, they leverage misogyny, they leverage manipulation of people, and so I think that everyone can learn a lot, and I do actually go back in the archive and watch these, even though it's not at the top of my feed because of this. So all of that said, as I talk up Nick like crazy, I actually have some questions for Nick today as well. You may also recognize these questions. However, they were written by Nick, so he probably knows what's coming. But
I actually haven't prepared on purpose because I already know most of the answers because it's all things that I do anyway. But
right.
I haven't specifically prepared, just like I never specifically prepare for interviews unless it's like a one that I have to do like data and numbers and like stats on.
Yeah.
I don't specifically prepare because I am better off the cuff than I am overly prepared. Unless it's for like music where you actually have to practice things that I always had to practice. Like Um, yeah, classic me, writing my own interview questions and then having somebody else hoist them at me. It's also classic me is we're going to introduce after all of this. So Shane, one, thank you for the really great introduction, man. Like I really appreciate it, dude. Thank you for being a friend and like a sounding board, but also a stopping board when you see or say or hear things that you know need correcting, you correct. And you've done it with me, and I appreciate it. And I do, Evan, I see you, brother, calling me everybody's loving brother in the audience. Like, I'm happy with that. Like,
It should
I'm
be.
happy to, if that's my legacy, I'd be happy with everybody's
That's a
loving.
good legacy.
Like,
That's a good
yeah,
legacy.
that's a
You know?
that's a good legacy. And I was asked the other last night if I thought a year ago I would be where I'm at, and the answer was hell no. Like last
Yeah.
a year ago, I was drowning in work, and I was like on the verge of being suicidal again
Mhm.
because of the toxic work environment I lived in and how little I was a part of my family. Um, and I'm no longer there. Like, I don't feel like that person anymore. And so, no, I didn't see myself being here a year ago. I don't know if I saw myself too much, like I didn't see futures too far over a year ago, like because of work, because it was shitty. Like I was trying to get out, but I didn't know what to do, where I was going. I got out, and I thought I was a failure. But we'll go into that. Hey y'all, I'm Nick Paro. It's good to see you. Good to meet you. I know we're all on the same channel that we all normally are. Thank you, Shane, for hosting today with
Yeah.
me and
It's
being my
my
host for
honor.
all of this. Um, is I'm glad to be doing it. Like I got to talk to a longtime comedian yesterday, Pete Dominic, for a little while, and like learn about him and the masculinity work he's doing. Like I didn't think I would be talking to people like Pete Dominic or Wajahat Ali or Zev Shalev or fuck Lev Parnas. Like the dude was is a mobster or was a mobster. Like and did some awful things and now is working to atone for them. Like I see him out there working and doing what he's doing. Good job, Lev. I see you, brother. I appreciate the work you're doing too. Like it means something to us. Like it means something on a personal level too, because your kids are going to see you grow, and that's important for them. But I've also gotten to meet just so many amazing people, like you said, Qasim Rashid, Bobby Jones, you, Sherrod Swaney, and Gavin Favor over at Centered America. Like they were, I didn't imagine having this many friends a year ago. Like it's
I
nice to have some friends.
Yeah. It's
At like the Diogenes Club, like Lawrence, Lawrence Winterman, Fred Pogue, and I starting Banner and Backbone. Like I didn't see any of this a year ago, but I've made friends that are all aligned on like the same type of mission as I am. And it's been really cool to build this because my wife and I have talked about it for a long time about how shitty like masculine culture is. Like we talk about these
Mhm.
sorts of things all the time. And I now have a platform to talk about it and
Yeah.
like push back on the stupidity because
Yeah.
fuck them. Like I keep saying nowadays is just suck less. Like that's all I'm really asking for most men is just suck less. The world
I
would be better if you sucked less, especially the powerful ones. If you sucked less, you'll start sucking less each day. Like it's a step by step process. And so if you want over my head, oh, I even pointed in the right direction the first time. Over my head is the Sick of the Shop QR code, um,
Nice.
where we are now offering a Just Suck Less 32-ounce steel water bottle with straw and with straw lid. So you can
Heck
suck
yeah.
while you're sucking less.
While you're sucking less,
So
drink some water.
please, yeah, drink water
You know
or
what?
others, whatever you want to put in that bottle, whatever you feel the need to. 32 ounces will get you through most of the day. You might not make it through all the day if you have other in there, but you could just suck less.
Yeah.
With Sick of This Shit Publications with your new steel water bottle.
Yeah.
Good merch. I'm trying to do the merch plugs because that's
Plug.
fun.
It's here's the thing. The first thing though is I want to go back in the chat here because there was someone in the chat who shared something. I think it's really important, Yanni.
I love
I'm not
Yanni.
gonna
Thanks for
I'm not
being
gonna
here.
read the comment like out of respect to you. It doesn't need to be like on the in the recording. If you're in the chat, but I just want to say, and to Nick, and we're living in a time where there's a lot of people who uh, want to take everything from other people, whether that's your productivity, whether that's your wealth, whether that's your freedoms, your freedom of speech, your freedom of expression. And me and Nick, trust me, in doing this, we've had our struggles mentally. Being and looking at this kind of stuff is hard. And the same is true in your life, your daily life. Like Nick was saying, like the one thing they cannot take from you is your joy. They can take the shoes off your feet. They can take your house. They can take your clothes. They can take everything. But they can't take your joy. And
Yeah.
joy is an act of resistance.
And they cannot take our friendships away.
No.
And you are important just by being here,
Mm-hmm.
just for who you are. I
Yeah.
see you all the time in our chats, just saying,
Yes.
Yanni, love you, friend. Like, you're
Yes.
important for being who you are. Like,
Yep.
I'm so glad you're
You
here.
would be missed, friend. Like
Yeah.
people would notice you weren't here. People care about you. Like just the same, like I recognize your name too, right? Like we know, we might not be able to greet everybody, but like it does register when you get
I
here.
also love your comments on Substack too. Like,
Yes.
you're sharp-witted and witty and
Mm-hmm.
fun. Like, you're my type of people, and I love it.
So speaking of good peoples, let's talk about what it is to be a intelligent and good people's kind of guy. So your first question here, and I'm very interested to hear this. And I would say, just as a caveat here, if any of the people you interviewed over the process of this also would qualify as an answer to this question, I would ask that you share that as well. But the question is, who has been one of the most influential masculine figures in your life and why?
So I'll go the easy route on this one. Is my dad. Is truly
Mhm.
my dad. I am the youngest of three boys. Where Evan Fields. I said it, brother. I said it for you, brother. Um, Dude, you are an inspiration though. Like, you're the the growth, the Diogenes Club, the fact that we came together with you to do that, and you let us participate in your grieving and growth. Like, dude, you are on that list. Like, there's a reason I interviewed you, bro. Like, all of you, all of you are, because that's like, you are some of the most influential masculine figures in my life because of this series, like, because of what all of it is teaching me. Um, but to get back to my dad, so like, I will, my my oldest brother is much older than I am. He's almost 15 years older than I am. So he's a different generation. Um, we have cousins that are much older, that are same generation as him. My other brother and I have our own set of generational cousins. So like, there's a age gap almost distinctively in the family. And and so I grew up with a different father than my brother did, because my
Mhm.
father grew and evolved. He
Right.
I'll talk about the other person next because they are the two most important, like influential figures, like deep rooted wise. And I talk about my mom all the time. But my dad, um, my oldest brother and I now have a very good relationship where we talk a lot. We didn't for a long time, and so I've grown to understand like my dad maybe was different for him than for me. He was younger. He was going through a much different situation, and they were dealing with their own traumas and being abused and how they were reconciling with that. Um, and he didn't have that anymore when I was a kid. When my middle brother and I uh, were kids. So I'm the youngest of, like I said, youngest of three. Not by too much of my other brother. We are closer in age, and I got to see a dad who was home a lot. Um, and because my dad was active guard in where we were at, so we were a military family. Pretty much every male in my family has served in the military or has tried to serve in the military, and if they couldn't, it was because of a medical reason. Um, and I'm close with my oldest brother. Not as close with my middle brother, Kimmy. No, they don't. Neither of them live in Arkansas. They're almost the same distance apart from each other, or from me. That's one of the reasons I live in Arkansas, is because it's basically a center point between my brothers, so that my when my parents are living near us, they it's forces my brothers to come here rather than me having to go anywhere because I don't want to fucking travel. I've done enough of that shit.
Mhm.
And Yeah, so I'm not as close with my middle brother. We have a harder time communicating. We communicate almost too similarly at times, so it's hard for us to talk back and forth. And so it's not even for us, it's not even a talk, it's not even a masculinity thing, it's just we it's hard to communicate with each other. But my oldest brother and I communicate really well with each other. We didn't for a long time, and we're fairly polar opposite in many ways. So my oldest brother also plays an important life part in my life for like masculine figures. I would say the important masculine figures in my life are my dad and my like immediate family, male figures in my family. That's growing up wise. But my dad was different when I was a kid than he was with my oldest brother, and so we had a dad who was home a lot, because he was active guard. His work schedule wasn't as demanding all the time, and he was a rank where he could command others to do things and dismiss them when they were done. And he didn't like keeping people for no fucking reason, because when a job was done, you get home. No, both my parents are still alive. Um, I try not I talk about my mom a lot. She comes into our chats. She's actually been a guest of mine on the Chronically Illing Out show, and I'm trying to convince her to get onto Substack more to write because she's a retired licensed school psychologist and knows a ton about child development and has a ton to offer back to the community. And in a time right now, I think my mom's voice there would be really powerful. But going back to my dad in all of this is he was home. He was the one who cooked dinners. He kept the house in check and tidy. It was easy to see him. He brought us to and from things. Like we didn't have to worry about not having um we didn't have to worry about not having a parent present ever. We always had one, because my mom worked in a school system. So it was easy to, hey, before we go too far, like in the chat, um, let's not start a fight. And I would disagree with the comment that men define masculinity on their own term. terms and wouldn't care less what a feminist thinks about that. I actually take a lot of my cues from feminists and friends who are feminists. I am not a feminist because I'm not a female. I am a I am a humanist because I believe we all are important. And to think that that men would define masculinity on their own terms without caring what women think in general in any sense is kind of the opposite. Like being truly intelligently masculine means you are a whole ass person. And so no. Um, I would disagree with that comment. Just to say where I stand. No, I know Lefty. I understand it. I see that he's here to disrupt. And Natasha,
Yeah.
I've met you. You're a good person. Like, just we'll ignore you, friend in the chat. But I did think that was that comment actually did make sense though, in terms of like framing all of this stuff because my my dad cared and valued what my mom said. My mom would be qualified as a feminist because she's a working woman and she had a career that was longer and more stressful in so many ways than my dad's. And my dad had a stressful fucking career. He was in the army. Like and he commanded soldiers and troops and had to make decisions and he met some really cool people and he's in some books. Like he's met some really interesting people and he's in some history books too. Like I've seen his picture in what would be considered like an autobiographical history book. Yeah, and I will at least ban from commenting.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
can
it's kind of one of those things where it's like we could get rid of him, but if you do that, you just cement that. Like, is he going to change? Probably not, right? But like in situations like that,
I
you
don't
know,
even think they're still here because it
oh
when
no,
we
they're
ban
still
them.
here. But look, anyone who says men's rights, you're missing the entire point. You already have all the rights, and if you're not aware enough of the fact that you are explicit, you can do whatever you want. And if you know the right other men who agree with you, you can literally you can commit crimes. There's a path for you as a man to be a criminal and treat other people like dirt if you want it. And anyone arguing for men's rights, that's absurd. Men actually have the right to choose. You
Yeah,
have the right to choose, particularly if you are a white man. You have the right to choose if you want to be a monster or not. That's on
yeah,
you.
you do.
That's your choice. So if you're going to sit here and preach your rights, your brain is either cooked or you already have decided that you just don't want other people to have rights. So you put on a mask of men's rights to oppress others.
Yeah,
So you look like a fool. And I just
yeah,
hope you understand that you look like a fool. And when you make those comments, people think you're a fool. They think you are a weak, fragile man. And that is the entire point of this conversation, is so people can identify and call you a weak, fragile man.
yeah.
When I hope in your life, when you go out into the world and say men's rights, that people file that away and treat you accordingly. And
I
that's
hope
what I'll
someone
say
calls
about
you a
that.
testicle at some point in your life,
Yeah.
and like a taint or something like that. Because, dude, whatever, man. Anyway, moving on from this guy
Yeah, let's go back to
because
Nick.
yeah,
Go back
let's
to
go
Nick.
back to me. We're here for me.
It's literally Nick's show. It's literally his show.
Actually, it's your show today, Shane. It's
Sorry.
I'm just a
Yeah.
guest here.
I'm not your
I'm just
son.
here. You're
Um,
not my son. I'm not your dad.
and it's just like that.
And it's just like that. That's why we're here. Courtney working her way up to
So we had
testicle.
just covered
At least I didn't go the full Stephen Miller route.
right.
So but going back to my dad, like
Yeah, please.
because I saw my dad a lot and he was really present, I saw what it looked like to have a stable father, like someone who is around, someone who taught me right from wrong. He corrected me. But he did all of the things. He was a creative. He is a creative. Like he's a woodworker and a very, very good fine woodworker and crafter. Um, and like he taught me a ton about crafting wood and using a lathe and turning and making something beautiful out of a rough piece of tree.
How old were
Um,
you when these memory, like what, like, because like
It's
this
my
is
whole life. My dad literally built our house. Like my dad built the house I live in. So growing up, our house was under construction in areas because we just didn't have the flooring that he wanted yet. Like we had
Mhm.
subflooring for most of my childhood because he couldn't find the specific wood that he wanted for the floor. He
I
was
like that.
he's a very particular man on certain things,
His
but
art
it was worth the wait. It was worth the wait.
is his
Um,
would you say he inspired you to take your own creative path through music, like through his creativity and building and woodworking and things like that? Do you think that had anything to do in your decision to pursue creative arts in your education in your life?
um, I I would believe so, yeah. I would think so. Um, I don't know if I've ever thought to attribute it um, towards that, but I think that's a big part of it. Is because I learned how to be creative through woodworking as a kid. We were also encouraged to be creative. We were let to play. We had forest and woods around us. Like we lived on a mountainside. My brother and I and our cousins, who were two houses down, which was about a quarter-mile walk through the forest or half-mile walk through the forest or longer, we would walk through the forest. And we would just go from our house through the on the mountainside behind our neighbor's house, who we would wave and say hi to, and then to their house. And then they would do it, and we would just imagine and create and go do things. And I still do that. And I think that's a lot because our parents, my dad was around and trusted that we would be safe in the woods. And if we needed something, he would be able to get to us. And it was, yeah, I think the ability to just create and grow while a child was hugely important. I always liked drawing, but I was very like I like doing. I've always been artistic in ways. Like I've always on all of my notebooks growing up, I would have these drawings where I would make these tiny little shapes, and I would make them into like this design that went across the page, and I would hide like words or shapes in it with different with different designs of the shapes. It was almost like pointillism. I've seen some really cool artists who do it, and I wish I had the money to buy it. Um, but I think, yeah, like the ability for to be able to do that comes from the fact that my dad was creative and like he expressed
Mhm.
himself creatively. And my mom always laughs, like, I don't know how he got musical talent. Like, no one in our family has it. I was like, well, we have creative talent.
Mhm.
um, Thinking back on it, my grandfather wrote poetry that I've used to write music with. Um, and I think it's really, I think my family has a good spread. I feel very fortunate to have the family I do because I have a very stable family. Um,
Mhm.
and even though we've had fights and disagreements and some people don't like each other, others do, like I still think our family is more stable than most. And that's been really helpful. um,
Mhm.
so yeah, my dad is a big part of all of that.
So if you think that really covers that, why don't we kind of expand that right into the feminine figures beyond your mom? Obviously, you know your mom was really important, and if you want to, please elaborate on some of those things as well. Please do. But and yeah. So, what is there any other, female figures in your life who really influenced your journey in terms of really pursuing intelligent masculinity, um, in your life?
Yeah. So first, I want to answer a couple of the things in the comments before we go into our next question. Is Lefty? That sounds like a great idea. I'd love to
Yeah.
have a show with all the women talking about intelligent masculinity. Um, I think there's an incredible group of women who talk about uh, feminism and fine feminism with Dana Dubois and her friends on the Daily Whatever show. And I would love to have them come on, and folks like Melissa Corrigan and Ellie Leonard and Lefty or others in the chat who might want to participate in something like that, who have things to say, who are willing to discuss this topic. Like, I'd love to get others' feedback it, on this and see where you all can provide areas for growth too. I think that's this whole project, is to continue growing. I know that's actually something that Pete Dominic did, or is doing, is he's interviewed a lot of women about masculinity. And I think it's really cool that some of us are approaching it from both sides, or from that side, while doing it. I don't think there's a series right now that's specifically men interviewing just men like this, other than maybe Evan might be the closest, Evan Fields with his midweek burn, but it's not always men he puts on. So like, um, I love the idea of having the women on. Like I said, I take a lot of cues from the women around me. And I would say, obviously, there's a group of women here on Substack who have had a really positive impact in my life since being here. And there's so many I can name. However, I'll step back before Substack, because there's someone who helped get me through situations at a prior job that was really impactful. And yeah, my mom could be on. She'd be a great person to talk about it from, especially from a psychological perspective and a mom perspective. Is Is an old manager, well, not manager, a she was the director of operations. I'll call her M. Um, M was someone who came in like a whirlwind into the company. She was hired on to do a really, really specific job um, really well, and she was doing it. Like, the operations department needed an overhaul, and she was doing it really, really well. Um, but I had been consistently bullied at work. And it was one of the reasons it was really toxic. It was by a toxic man who was very fragile, and couldn't um, couldn't handle the fact that they weren't the smartest person in the room, and weren't willing to allow the people who were the subject matter experts to do their jobs. He had to micromanage everything, but it was, and a lot of like idea theft. Basically, was there was zero credit for any of the work I did for almost 2.5 years, um, and I had to go through years of therapy around it. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I did go through that therapy, because now I have some really, really cool tools that I use all the time, which I'm going to start sharing with everybody on a, I'm not a psychologist or a licensed therapist or social worker. Here's just these tools that you can look into to use your own. I know I've had friends reach out to me asking, hey, what type of tools are there? Are there things you can offer? And I want to offer my friends those tools. I want to offer my friends the tool that I have, because I think really useful and really um, individual. She made and did all the things necessary to ensure that it never happened again, and got that individual fired, and in the process lost her job too, which she was expecting. And so it wasn't like it was that was part of a chain sequence of events. But she was the first person for the 2.5 months that we worked together. She was the first person who took a meaningful interest in what I was saying and doing on a professional and personal level. And outside of the manager that I had who had quit, um, not because he really wanted to, um, and she and I made a friendship, but she talked back and forth with me like a person, and she valued the things that I was saying. And when there was correction, she guided and um, provided like mentorship, rather than critique, um, or rather than criticisms. She offered critiques and mentorship, and she allowed me to grow, and she helped me remember that there was a path forward, and that I needed to be looking for something more, for myself too. Um, and it was, it turned my, it turned everything around, and it helped shape last year, um, because that's eventually a couple months afterwards when I lost my job too. Um, but I think part of that was because of the impact she had on me, and how it helped me get to the point too where when I lost my job, instead of going down a rabbit hole, I wrote poetry. I came on Substack and wrote poetry. Um, and like I had thought about, not like I had been writing on Substack, by then, but very, very infrequently. And somebody became a paid subscriber, and I was like, oh, I should probably write. I should probably do something more. And then I lost my job, and I started writing poetry. And I don't do it as often right now because I don't have a ton of time, and I'm exhausted. And there's more important things we have to get through right now than adding poetry from me, because there's some other amazing poets out there who I could just read their poetry for now, until I have free time again to write, because I can be creative in other ways. And for me, she allowed me to see the creativity, that I had, in the work that I was doing, but also in like how I was getting to solutions. And she encouraged that creativity again. And it had been a long time since I had a adult figure outside of family that did that, and that left a really meaningful impact on me, and is one of the reasons I'm where I'm at now.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that story because I think it's a story that everyone can relate to. I think that some point in your life, um, unless you're probably a white man, that has never had to work or compete for anything, and is just handed things by white men. But even white men, right? Like it's not just good enough to be a white man, right? Like that whole thing and the whole masculinity, I'm going to say crisis, okay, in society is that expectation that even men who don't conform to um, the template for perceived masculinity, which intelligent masculinity defines as being a beta male, or a loser. So we're all clear on what being a masculine in America in 2026, or honestly in the world in 2026 tends to mean. But it's most fascinating to me about this whole story, and I think is that I find in life that often as a man, that some of the most inspiring people you will meet are women, The reason being is because they have to work so much harder than you to do the same thing. They don't get to walk in the room and they are not afforded the same level of credibility. Uh, like that
I'm
is
going
the
to interject
challenge.
here. This,
Yeah.
like, just to interject on that, yes, like she had this aura about her that drew you to her. Like, there's a, and I never met her in person, I only met her virtually. And, but there was this presence, there was just this steady aura and presence around her that said, you can follow my example because I'm leading to make you better. And like that, just it spoke around her, was that like her intentions weren't to better her position, it was to better everybody else's. And she was it's just that servant leadership mentality. But to me, it's just, that's leadership. Like, that's true leadership, is building those up around you. And that's a lesson I learned from my dad, as a commander, was like, the way that he led troops was, it was about bettering them in their careers and their positions, because as they get better, you get better, and they challenge you to be better. And she did that to me, where she challenged me to be better, and it was just this aura around her. Was, yeah, women are the feminine figures in my life, not just women, but the feminine figures in my life have made a really powerful impact, because
Yeah.
they've allowed me to access my whole set of emotions.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. I mean, like, I think that's very, very true in that sense. The ability to, um, because part of being a human being is having emotions, being able, feeling vulnerable, feeling confused, feeling scared, feeling angry. It is exactly why we make every single decision we make, is because we have a feeling about it. It's why it's so hard to be objective oftentimes, because being human is part of dealing with your feelings.
Yeah.
And women can offer that to men, because the current template refuses to, like, actually, you'll find those people are attacked in a traditional setting, and so, it's
Well, it's
that.
also why you see gay men being attacked,
Mhm.
um, and why we use like effeminate as an insult. Like, you being more feminine is an insult in some way.
Yeah.
Um, and like, I went to a school for music. I was surrounded by gay men. I was surrounded by straight men. I was surrounded by gay women and straight women. I was surrounded by all of the types of people. And I had to be you were either comfortable in the environment or you had a miserable fucking time.
Mhm.
And I chose to be comfortable. I chose
They
to
can't
be
take it away.
comfortable because, as my merch mug says, is now you know so you can grow. Is I I took that mentality probably because my parents taught it to me, and that was just what they taught. Like, I learned the example, and one of the other reasons my dad is a huge, powerful example in my life is because I have a distinct memory of my one of my cousins coming out as lesbian, and she was afraid to tell my dad. And when my dad found out, when she finally did, he looked at her and said, she was like, I was afraid you were gonna hate me. He was like, why? I loved you yesterday. Why won't I love you today?
Yeah.
And that was it. And that was it. That was all he needed to do, to let her know that he cared about her on a personal level, on personhood level. And it taught me, hearing that as a kid, because it happened when I was a kid. She's my cousin, but a older generation. Um, and so I got to see my dad interact with both me and my brother, and then the older generation of kids who are still my brother and or cousins. And seeing that interaction gave me a chance to grow so much, like unexpectedly, because he did the everyday things just to remind people that, yeah, I love you because you're who you are. Like, why would I care if you're gay? Why would I
So,
care if you like women or
yeah,
men? Like, who gives a shit?
I think this is a good opportunity to go to our second question, which I think the questions themselves kind of answer flow into one another, and
Yeah.
so I think there's a lot of crossover here, particularly in your most recent answers. But what does intelligent masculinity mean to you?
So I'll give the definition that I've written down about it, and then we can talk. We
That's awesome.
can,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, because I have a definition that I've written. It's more of a thesis. It's a guardrail of. It's a set of. It is a discipline and a guardrail for masculinity. It's not what masculinity itself is. It's the
Is it a
guardrails around it.
proposed kind of definition, if you will, based on your work so far through the series? Is that
Yeah,
kind of what? Okay, for
yeah,
sure.
and it's not pinning masculinity down to a single thing that you have to do to be a man, because that's what authoritarianism is part of what I've really learned in all of this, is like what the difference between intelligent masculinity and authoritarian masculinity is. And authoritarian masculinity is pinning you to a very strict definition of what you can or cannot be to be a man. And that we see it all the time. That's what makes fragile masculinity so fragile. It's because you have to pretend. Intelligent masculinity is the refusal to outsource accountability onto others and the discipline to live with the consequences of your values and actions. And that's it.
Say that
It's
one more
not,
time for everybody, so they
yeah,
so they can hear it again.
yeah. Intelligent masculinity is the refusal to outsource accountability onto others and the discipline to live with the consequences of your values and actions.
Yep.
It's not saying what masculinity itself is. My definition, what I've found is it's just the guiding principle that names where masculinity has walls to protect itself from becoming something bad. It's a guardrail system. It's a self-correction system. Because to me, masculinity isn't an individual trait. It's a communal trait too. Like it's part of the community. And we hold each other accountable because we don't let others hold our accountability. So if we're willing to hold ourselves accountable, we are then able to hold others accountable. Because if
Yep.
you can't hold yourself accountable, you can't hold others accountable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too. I like that answer, but you know what? The first thing I thought, and I said, is like, there's a lot of crossover between what you just said and what I would say the traditional definition for maturity is. Um, and so what's interesting about that, and what I want to highlight here is those of you guys who know me, I love data. I don't really, you need to show me receipts. Um, and sometimes I might come off like a little bit too extreme because of it, but what Nick is providing here is he's not just saying that, oh, intelligent masculinity is this because I feel it this way. He's spoken to all of these men and he's done a survey, but not just any kind of survey, a deep dive. He's gotten the information, and he's provided us with what he sees as the definition or the guardrails of intelligent masculinity. And so it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that those guardrails are maturity. And that, from another step, would say that traditional, or what did you say, autocratic, or what was it?
Authoritarian masculinity.
Authoritarian masculinity is fundamentally based in keeping men immature.
Yeah.
And that is pretty profound, in a
Yeah.
in a big way, I think. And so I just wanted to point that out because it's true. It's pretty
Oh,
true.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think I would really agree with what you just said there, is that the authoritarian masked, I like masked masculinity, though it's hard to say because of the syllables next, the way that syllables interact
Yeah.
with each other there. But like it's this mask you put on, and you have to, it's just so much pretend. um and that is the inability to self-evaluate and self-reflect on things is immaturity. So yes, like this really does go with what it means to be mature. And I mean, this is really a better humaning saga in series. Like
Mhm.
obviously women, trans folks, anybody, anywhere in between. Like I don't give a shit. Anyone can use this. It's a better humaning practice. Like intelligent humaning is the refusal to outsource accountability onto others and the discipline to live with the consequences of your values and actions. It's the same thing. And that's what I wanted. This is a universal statement, but it's a reaction to this fragile masculinity that, or authoritarian masculinity that isn't being checked right now, because people who are that immature and childish tend to have never had someone say no to them in their life and have it mean something. And I think what I'm trying to do in a lot of this is be a way for people to build on the courage to say no and mean it and live their values. Like Will Fullwood is a great example. I interviewed him on Tuesday for this series. He's a great example of the idea of, it's not, he literally saved a woman from being sexually assaulted the other day. But it wasn't, for him, it wasn't a huge deal because his values, if he had not lived his values and had not done something to stop it, he would have personally
I'm
felt
sorry, who was this?
shitty. Will Fullwood,
Wow.
um,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
like he has a set of values that when he was telling the story about it, it was, yes, he was proud that he saved someone and it felt good to have saved and helped someone, but it wasn't specifically about that individual person. It was he needed to live up to his own values and live up to his own expectations of what he knew to be right, and the right thing to do is to call out inappropriate behavior when you see it in real time.
Mhm.
And so he did. And I am like, and that is, to me, that's part of all of this. The masculinity is he didn't outsource the accountability onto others. He didn't wait for somebody else to step up. He did, because it was his value that said, I need to step up. I just need to do this because I know it's the right thing to do. And he did. He didn't wait for permission from others. He didn't wait to, he didn't get asked to help. He just did it because the situation called for it, because the situation was appropriate that he step up and help. And he did. And he was the only one who did. And yeah, Will's a wonderful human being. And I think it's so, it hit me on that one because that's a powerful example of what it means to like refuse to outsource your accountability onto other people. Is his value wouldn't let him not act. And then she thanked him, and that was it. And that was the end of the day. That was the end of it for him because he didn't need anything else. His
Right.
value had already been completed. He didn't need anything from her. The thank you was all that came out of it, and that was, he walked away a better person. She walked away not being assaulted any more than she had been, and the other individual walked away very clearly reprimanded, um,
Yeah.
and not allowed to do the act that they wanted to do, at least to that person. And like, and so I take those and I get to learn from them. Like I wouldn't have heard that story and gotten to experience what Will had talked about had I not gotten the opportunity to talk to him. So like going
Mhm.
back to the what you asked in the first question was like who around us, like other than just the immediate folks, is like, have any of the men in the series been a huge masculine impact? And yes, they all have. like I said, you all have, because
Mhm.
you've each added something unique to the series without ever trying. Like, you're all so slightly different than each other and all unique, and it adds a really cool story. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question or
That,
not, but
that answered the question for me. I think, yeah, I mean, you know, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Will, but I can tell you that that kind of action, it's, I think that's what's just required, right? Like having a
yeah,
strong set of moral values. And the real big thing I want to point out, is the decisiveness. He didn't weigh whether or not, involving or stopping would be, something that he would have to deal with later. He didn't decide, oh, is this worth my time? He's like, this is always worth my time because it's wrong. And that, is really like so important. And if you can learn anything from anybody, right? Anybody here can learn this in being intelligent masculinity, in which maybe we can also kind of draw some parallels through towards real maturity, not growing up
yeah.
and being old. I've said this forever. Like since I was a teenager, I'm like, you know, being old doesn't make you grown. And basically what I meant by that is
Look at our president.
I grew up experiencing all of these older people acting like kids, acting like fools, right? Like
Hmm.
particularly men, but women too. And so by 15, I was saying that because I was so unimpressed because I read the definition of maturity in a book and it said it's this. But this is what you see. So that is so inspiring, like you said, because it's a choice to be decisive. It's a choice to just stand on your, your laurels and go and do
Hmm.
something. So I think that is absolutely what a great way to also frame, what intelligent masculinity is. It's the maturity in your thesis and that kind of parallel. And I'll use my words, but just to as well, but it's the maturity and the understanding within yourself to be decisive in the face of something that is wrong, as well as to be decisive within yourself. As a bipolar man, uh, that's so important,
Yeah.
to be decisive within yourself.
And
It's a
it's,
choice to be mature.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's a choice to be mature. It's also a choice to be emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature. It's a choice to be physically intelligent and physically mature. Like, those are two important concepts. And because emotional intelligence is a huge component of masculinity
Yes.
and humaning in general. And like, I've been able to write 5 articles so far about the series and from all of these interviews. And the last one I've written was called On Offense. And I'll drop the link to it in the Substack chat for anyone who wants to go read it and like and share and throw it up in the feeds. Is one of the things that I talk about in this is how do we promote it and how do we go on offense for intelligent masculinity, because intelligent masculinity cannot be passive or else it fails.
Right.
And it's about 5 different ideas or 5 different things. They all work really close together. And this is part of that like maturity thing, is we have to model. We have to be the men worth copying, not louder, not purer, just steadier and more openly. We need to interrupt. We need to call out dehumanization, misogyny, and domination when they appear, especially among other men. Silence is endorsement. We
Yes.
need to build. We need to create spaces, media, language, and community that offer men direction without grievance. Because it's not about shaming you and making you more grievance driven. It's about breaking the grievance. It's about breaking that cycle, because other people aren't at fault for your actions. It's a you problem, not a me problem. Stop making it us. It's a you problem, not an us problem. Stop making it an us problem. Start reminding men that it's okay to self correct.
Yeah.
Then we need to recruit. We need to stop pretending men will figure it out on their own. We need to show them something better and then invite them into it. And then we need to hold the line, which is do not water this down to avoid discomfort, because discomfort is not harm and accountability is not abuse.
Yeah.
There's self-correction and growth. And that's it. That's all I'm asking. It's just suck less for some of the men out there. For others, I'd love for you to grow drastically and participate and be part of the community, because you have so much to offer. Like, I know people who are getting there. I know people who aren't getting there. I know people who are trying who you wouldn't think are. It's because I'm holding the line and I'm recruiting them. It takes fucking time to break down indoctrination. And that's part of maturity, is understanding it's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen in the next 6 months. It can take 6 months or less to break down these barriers, but we have to put in a hugely concerted effort to hold this line. And it cannot, and when I say we, I do not mean women. I do not mean Black men for the most part, or Hispanic men for the most part, or Islamic men for the most part, or Middle Eastern men for the most part, because a lot of them are in these positions, or Latin American men, or any, because a lot of these men that aren't white have already started accepting this path forward, or have already been doing the hard work. It's us who are the problem right now, and we need to hold the line with each other. We need to be the ones who stand up and say, no, we're not allowing this to happen. We're not letting our name become yours, because I don't want masculinity to be associated with hatred. Like, I don't want my son to grow up and think that being a good man means you have to be hateful. I don't want my daughter to grow up thinking that she is lesser than anybody, because she fucking ain't.
Nope.
And so I'm going to hold that line, and I'm going to make sure the kids around me, either my kids or their friends, know that same thing. When they're over, rules are rules, and we don't use certain phrases or words in our house, and I make sure they're corrected every time. I make sure when I talk to my nieces, or my nieces, the quote nieces, the friends who are their kids have become like family, or my nephews, is I remind them of what masculinity should look like. I remind them of the good things that they do. We celebrate the little things. Part of that is holding the line, is celebrating joy. It can be uncomfortable, but it's not harm and it's not abuse.
What do you do to self-reflect and self-evaluate?
Um, so I spent 2 years, almost 2.5 years, in a group therapy called Effective Living Skills, with the VA, and there's multiple different modules which I'm going to start going through, and there's a lot of tools that I use in there to self-reflect and self-evaluate. But most recently, writing for me. Writing has been the way to um, like grow, but also reflect on what I've done, and where I've been, and I'm like, I use that to calm my mind, or even poetry. Like, I still am writing other stuff in the background, like, but don't I don't have like I don't have a step that's specific, like one of the specific tools in the mindfulness, like emotion effective living skills document, or books. I have literally have 4 books I'm going to go through for everybody. These 4
Nice.
books. Everybody's going to get a chance to learn effective living skills, not from a therapist, but from just a dude who's gone through them and who wants to share the practices inside. Like, I use those practices, I use those skills all the time to
I think it's
self-reflect.
important that you have people like you translate these things. And the reason, when someone who's really, really knowledgeable about something presents that to somebody else, that person doesn't have the same level of knowledge. It can make them uncomfortable. It can be overwhelming. So it's really important that people act as a bridge to certain topics for others. Like they might not be willing to go to therapy, but they are willing to watch a show or read an article from Nick. And after reading that article, or after watching this series on intelligent masculinity, maybe a man says, maybe I do need to go to therapy because I don't like those things about myself. But it's not because he went out and found that. It's because Nick has created a bridge for a person who doesn't want to be that way, to get there themselves without that roadblock. And I
Yeah,
think,
or if you can't afford therapy right now, I'd prefer people to have the tools available to them, even if they can't afford them themselves. Like these are things you
that's very true right
practice
now.
on your own anyway. Like the ideas. Okay, so I think the biggest self reflection tool I use is an immediate one. It's where I evaluate and I have separated my mind of who brain Nick is, or like I have a couple like inside names for my like thought patterns. Like I have a stupid Nick, I have an excited one, but it's just like general stuff flows into this river of thoughts that sometimes stupid Nick has a thought. But I've been able to separate my mind from me because it's not all of who I am. It's just a part of it. My brain is just a part of who I am as a person. It's where the ideas generate from, but it's not always where the ideas are enacted from. Like
Right.
the body has its own, does its own thing. And it's okay to let my biggest self reflection piece is it's okay to not blame myself for having shitty ideas sometimes, or not blaming myself for having ideas, because we all have thousands of ideas every day that we just sort of let go of. Some of them filter to the surface that are what we would call impulsive thoughts. Like, I'm going to walk out in front of traffic just so that I get hit by a car so that I can go to the hospital and maybe they'll fix all of the shit is wrong with me. That's an impulsive ass thought. I'm not going to go walk in front of traffic because I could probably die. It would be really shitty. Like that would be bad. Like I would not do that.
Right.
But it's an impulsive thought. I don't blame myself for having that thought. And in the moment you can do that. You can do that in like split seconds. It doesn't take very long once you've practiced it for months and years. Like if I can offer people a free way to have those tools where they could come and join Chronically Illing Out, which is basically a group therapy session where none of us are therapists and we just talk to each other, and we
Mhm.
talk about the things that we've gone through, or you take part in like other shows that I do, because all my stuff is about mindfulness and better humaning. Like, and I want to, like, that's the line that I have drawn in the sand is we are bad at humaning right now. Specifically men, we're bad at humaning, so we need to be better at it. And a challenge that I've had to challenge myself in a lot of ways.
So
And that self-reflection is hugely important right there.
So kind of to roll with that, I am just going to roll back to this question because I feel like you're kind of already answering it, is how do you
Mhm.
model intelligent masculinity in your own life? You know what?
I do
Actually,
it. I
I have
just
a
do it.
question that's similar to this, but will get
Yeah.
us more. So,
Yeah. Go for
um,
it.
how do you balance being a father, a husband, and a patriot creator at the same time? And how does intelligent masculinity factor into that?
Um, I think the thing, and I let myself step away when I need to now. I let myself go do the things I need to for my kids over podcasts or over shows. And I know that's selfish at times. And I know no, it can be. Right now we're in fascism. Like people are people are dying, people are being othered in really extreme ways, and
Yeah.
it can feel selfish to do it, but it's also really important to be able to unplug if you can. Like so that you're recharged and ready to come back. So I think the way that I I balance it by one, this has allowed me to speak on these issues where I do not have to word vomit at my wife anymore. We don't have, she doesn't have to listen to all of this. She gets to be, she gets to see me after I've done the shows or
Yeah.
before, where she gets to help like offer ideas to talk about. Like she helped drive a lot of my content yesterday, Tuesday, when I was talking about Flava Flav, who offered the women's hockey team, and all of the companies that helped paid for the women's hockey team to actually go have a celebration party that wasn't involved with the dickhead in the White House, and the belittlement that happened there. She helped drive some of the discussion on that because we talked about it, but it's helped me balance what I can and should be talking about with my family and what I can and should be talking about with everybody else. And I think just that act alone has made me a better father, husband, and able to contribute as a giving my service back.
Yeah. I I think that's
That was a
something that
great
I
question,
struggle with,
dude. That was
right?
a great
Like,
question.
yeah, that's something that I struggle with. Like how do I balance my dogs and my fiance and still show up and be happy and have that time. And it's hard, and it's okay to say that it's hard, I think, to do that. And it just gives um more credence to what you've achieved, because as a person who, I'm closer to your age than I'm farther away from your age, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, what you've accomplished and what you do 10 years, down the line for me, give or take, is like, that's inspiring to me. That gives me hope that I can do those things, because it is a difficult time. And you said it's selfish, and maybe it is, but one of the things I think is, maybe in terms of being knowing when to be selfish, right?
Yeah.
Because there's times I can't, for myself, just I know that I can't be the best person. Like, I know that I'm just not going to be the best person. And so, in those times, you need to know when to step away. And so I think that's really great. And I'm think it's time for the fun questions.
Oh, heck yeah.
Unless there's anything else kind of you wanted to add.
No, I think like just first is like, I say selfish, but I don't mean in a belittling way. Like selfish, it's okay. Like you said, it's okay to be selfish sometimes, as long as it's not ego driven selfishness. Like
Yeah, that's a
my
distinction.
time is important to me
Right.
because I only get to live it once. Like I have to live every day. I will die once, but I will live every day. Like I will live every day that I can. I will try and do something. I like to try and learn and grow and do something new every day. I try and be adaptable and willing to adjust when things don't go the way that I thought or wanted to. And I move on and I move forward because I'm willing to grow from it. And yeah, self choosing. It's self choosing is really important because I had to relearn, and part of the therapy that I took, um, all of this therapy, one of the things you learn from all of it is self-respect. Is you learn how to respect yourself again, and respecting yourself is learning to respect your time and value your own time and put a limit on where your emotional energy goes, because empathy and other things are finite from you. You have to refill your own emotional tank. Um, and sometimes doing that is stepping away from things or saying no or learning to say no or severing a friendship or a relationship with someone or challenging an idea and not, but you have to be willing to step back.
Mhm.
And you have part of that challenge is to say, I matter enough to take care of myself so that I can then, if I want to help take care of others or be a part of participating in the process to correct systems of harm, I have to be able to be there as a whole person. And so, yeah, that the self reflection is huge. Like that ability, that selfishness is okay as long as it's not an ego driven selfishness, because really that's where the fragile, masked authoritarian masculinity lives, is in the ego, because everything is personal. And I've learned that most things aren't. They're just wrongly placed. And so sometimes I just have to let it go. Or other times, if I think it's personal, it probably wasn't. And it just was an accident.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I have one more question I just thought of.
Hmm.
And so, in regards to this, like wherever, if whatever you're comfortable talking about versus not comfortable talking about, like draw that line for yourself. Don't feel like you have to go into any level of detail, but what, what experiences from your time, on deployment in the Middle East, and those experiences that you went through, um, how did those shape you? And when you came back to civilian life, um, was there things you took away from that that have shaped your intelligent masculinity? Are there things that you experienced there that you know? Does that kind of make sense? How
Yes.
did that shape you and your journey, um, coming back, and how has that challenged you in your journey to pursue intelligent masculinity in your life?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. And I'll be as short or long winded as I always am,
You do
because I
whatever
am
you
who I
want.
am. I am who I am.
That's
But I want
right.
to make
It's
sure
your show. I'm
I,
not your
well,
son.
well, I got to respect your time too, because we got other things we're going to be doing
Yes,
this
it's
afternoon.
true.
Um,
Um,
with that said, is yes, the my time in Afghanistan. So I went to Afghanistan in 2014, towards the end of the war. There, I was on a I was in a base called Fob Shank. Locally, we called it Rocket City because we got mortared every fucking day, multiple times a day. Um, and by the end of the, not even by the end, but by like a couple weeks in, it was basically middle of the night if a mortar went off or if the alarm went off for an incoming rocket. It was, uh, I'd
yeah.
rather die in my bed than fucking half naked in a concrete bunker with other people. Like,
Mhm.
and so people didn't get up, and we just got accustomed to shit. And I brought a lot of the anger home,
Mm.
and I was mad and I was angry, but it wasn't at the people of Afghanistan in any way. It wasn't at the people that I was there supposedly fighting against, because many of the people that I met were incredibly kind, were loving and amazing people. And I learned so much, and I got to experience some beautiful culture. I got to eat some incredible foods too. Like the rice in Afghanistan, the way they cook it, and you eat it with the fresh naan, or foot bread, as we call it,
Yeah.
because that's actually what they would do, is they would stomp it flat with their
Yeah.
foot and then throw it on the side of a Humvee, and it would cook because the metal was hot enough that it could cook. You just put it on the side of a Humvee in a 110-degree desert, you're going to cook shit. Um, and we would eat these amazing dishes like curries and beautiful. It wasn't things I was expecting, but I came home mad because the people that I worked with sucked. Like, were assholes. I was literally fucking bullied there too. I had this. There's this theme that went through my life where there have been adults who have bullied me since I was a child onward. Like, it's the reason I don't play soccer, or it was one of the reasons I never went and pursued soccer for college, was because a close friend's dad bullied me out of it, basically, and was a shithead.
Soccer is like that. I have a similar experience with soccer. Like there's just something with soccer culture that's seriously wrong.
Mhm.
And to
It's
avoid
really
going,
toxic.
it's really toxic. The club structure, the way if you want to go up, like you have to basically pay. If your parents have to pay you into a club to get the scouts, and but yeah, that
Mhm.
just it's true. That's another just a point. Like if you have your kid in soccer, there's a lot of moms here. If your kid plays soccer, um, you know, have open and honest conversations with them about what's going on the team. Bullying in soccer is different. You know, they just don't pass you the ball, or you know, they put you in certain situations in practice. You know, they push you. It's hard to see, especially in sports. So have those conversations with your kids. Sorry to
It's
interrupt. I just
no, it's a great interjection, and it becomes very obvious as you get older if you're on a travel. Because I played on a travel team, I was on the Olympic development team for Vermont. Like I went to the camps in New Jersey for the regional camps and played against
what
all the other
position?
kids. Goalkeeper.
You. I was gonna say this dude was a goalie. Is
I actually that's the reason I fucked my left knee up, or no, right knee up the first time. Was because I went for a save and I came down really, really hard on, and my knee bent inwards, like towards the other knee, and they're not supposed to do that. But like, and the other person was my friend and a goalkeeper too. We played on the same team together. We were a different age group for Olympic soccer, Olympic development soccer, because those are based on the year you were born. And he was a different year than I was, so we didn't compete there. But it became really apparent when it was coming times toward like recruitments and like scouting and people going to college and talking about this, because the the drive from the parent was very different than the drive from the child. But it hurt me because this parent was so aggressive to try and get their son to be the one who had the position, and their son didn't even want it half the time. Like that way, they would have rather been my friend, and I would have rather been their friend than this. But it
yeah.
that's what it turned into, and it sucked. And so I've had to like grow through being bullied a lot by these stupid men, who are not my family. And I'm thankful it's not my family. That was the ones who did it, in any way. But yeah, soccer can be a rough, sport. It is safer in terms of injuries overall than
Yes.
others, but the culture is pretty toxic. But I think that just comes from the toxicity
Masculinity.
that we live in now with
Yes.
this fragile masculinity, and we can change it.
Yeah. Treat them, and this is the whole thing, right? Like treat them like they should. If there's a dad who's screaming at the kids on the field who's not the coach, and you're a man, an intelligent man, you walk up to him and say, "Quit acting like a kid. Sit down and watch the game." Like, like
Oh,
or
I like giving. Well, let's be clear. I like giving refs and stuff hard times, especially when they do bad calls.
refs
But
are
I do
different.
that.
Refs are
But I do.
different.
Yeah, I don't comment on the kids unless it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you did great job. Keep going. Like I coached my son for a year,
Mhm.
year, and the team, and I wanted to keep going, but I hurt myself during it, and so I couldn't. But my philosophy going at it was like, practice makes progress, and we celebrate the little things with each other,
Yeah.
and we celebrate the wins where we get them. Even if we don't always win the game, we can still celebrate where we improved and then find places to grow. I think refs are the worst. Refs
Yeah.
were just, I
I was a
never
ref
I
for a
never got to
while.
the point of being like abusive towards a ref, because I trained and learned how to be a ref too, because pretty much every soccer kid learns how to do that
Yeah.
at some point, because you can make money doing it. But
Mhm.
like, when they when it's so clearly obvious intentionally bad calls, like, you just can't, like, that's still part of it. Is like, the whole point of a, especially if it's a rec league, and this is where I get mad at refs, at is rec leagues are for everyone to grow at. Rec leagues are not your competitive team where you travel and it's all about winning. Rec leagues are for all of the kids who just want to play. And so you making bad calls takes away from the time that these kids have to actually play a game that gives them joy, or is maybe the only time that they're safe, or is a time when they're with their friends. And if you make bad calls, you're taking that away from them and you're taking the joy out of it.
Yeah.
And so I don't like when refs do that because they hurt the kids in the process.
Yeah. I know we got kind of derailed. Is there anything you wanted to add on
No,
top
I
of
think
the footbread or anything like that? Is that but
no. So going back to that is the military coming back. I was not the same person that I was before deploying, and I was
right?
really angry. And I went through a lot of therapy, and it somewhat helped. And then I went into very stressful jobs that demanded either physical labor first, because I went and did truck driving and I was a local pickup and delivery truck driver. And you can, if you want to watch something fun, I can parallel park a semi truck with a 40-foot or like a 52-foot trailer.
Bro.
Whatever it is, I can parallel park one of those.
That's
Um,
insane.
on a blind side too. Like I can blindside parallel park one of those. I've done it before. I've had to do it a couple times. It's
Hey,
pretty
bro, can I
fun.
borrow your semi truck? I need to show someone some real quick. Like,
Yeah, I need to parallel park this real
go
quick.
find a trucker. Be like, hey, I gotta record this for my friend. Can I borrow? I promise, dude, not a
I
scratch.
promise I'm not gonna hurt your truck. They'll be like, nah, fuck you,
Those
man.
things are
Get
like
out.
racehorses to those guys because they
They're
own their
so
truck.
expensive. They're
It's so
so
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked into it. Owning your own truck is really expensive. It can be really worth it unless you're with like a bad trucking company. Anyway, um, I, when I got back, it broke me in a lot of ways, like physically, mentally. It's where I'm at now. It's why I'm a disabled veteran. It's how I became a disabled veteran. Like I am a disabled veteran. I am a person with a lot of disabilities who comes out and talks about them. And like,
Hmm.
it hurts to stand here. Um, it hurts to stand here and have these discussions. My back is on fucking fire, but I'd rather be doing this than nothing right now. So, like, it broke me for a while, and it's taken years to really put myself back together and find out who I am again. Um, and it's allowed me to refine not the kid who I was, but the joy that I celebrated when I was younger and the creativity that I had years ago, because I stopped writing music, I stopped playing my instruments, I stopped singing for a long time and things like that. And now I sing around my house all the time. I do fun voices with my dogs. I play my piano occasionally. I've got like a wooden uh, Navajo flute that I'm wanting to learn and that I've got a book on. Like there are things that I can now do because I've fixed myself in a lot of ways. I haven't gone back to the person I was, but I became the person I should have been. And I
That's a
and
great
I
way to put
fit
it.
and I fixed what I broke. I am fixing what was broken when I went overseas because I had a bully for a boss again. Like I had someone who just did not like me, didn't like me,
Um,
and made my life fucking miserable. And there's nothing you can do when you're deployed. There's nowhere to go. You can't walk out from that situation. And unless they approve you being moved from one team to another, you're fucking stuck. And so I had to deal with it. And
yeah,
it wasn't fun.
I
And it was fucking miserable because you're in a high stress situation already. And then you have someone bullying you
yeah,
and it makes it worse. And
yeah,
so I came back not a good person. I'm glad my wife is still with me. I'm like, I am glad that she was willing to stick with me
yeah,
um, through all of it and help me grow and help me learn to refine my happiness and that we add to each other's happiness and not that we make each other happy.
yeah.
She helped me refine my own happiness so that I could be a whole person to show up when she needed someone too. Just like she's a whole person who shows up when I need someone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very, very, it's important too. Like just that, it's a very important, dynamic for any relationship, I think, to
Yeah. And the
be sure.
answer, thanks Zuples for that, is that I love that you two grew together, is we still do it. We purposely grow alongside each other. Like
Hmm.
we're best friends. My wife is my best friend. And I don't say that in that like, no, my wife's my best friend. Like no, she's my best fucking friend. I married her because I wanted to hang out with her all the time and
There
just
you
be
go.
with
Right.
her and
Exactly.
just grow and live a life with her.
Yeah.
And I did, and we did, and we're
And
still
you're
here.
doing it.
We're doing it. We're
You're
almost
doing
11
it
years
right
in.
now.
Yeah, we're almost 11 years married in, and we're doing it. There have been way, 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 way more happy days than there have ever been bad ones.
Yeah.
And we don't really argue in the way that others do, not because we're better at it, but because we've learned how to communicate, because we
So
learned how to effectively talk to each other so that it's both self centered and corrective, but not grievance and blame based. And
yeah,
and there's a lot we're learning from each other as we do it.
absolutely. So what does it mean to be as swift as a coursing river, Nick? You gotta tell me.
To me, so this is an easy one for me. So before we get into this,
Yeah, yeah,
why I chose all these questions. I chose these questions because I grew up with this next set is a Mulan.
yes, these are
We
all
all
right.
know it's the Mulan questions from I'll Make a Man Out of You. I must be swift as a coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with the strength of a raging fire, and mysterious as the dark side of the moon. I chose that chorus line because when I was a choir kid growing up, I was dared into it in high school by a friend, by a male friend who was also a good singer, who dared me into it. And I got in, and then I won a solo award that year for uh, at a music festival that we went to in for our high school. Like I've gotten to sing at Carnegie Hall in New York. I've gotten to um, do so many cool things because of the music and the creativity side that I would have never done otherwise.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the songs we sang all the time was I'll Make a Man Out of You because it's the clarion call. It's the Let's Go Girls for Men. Um, and it was a pump up song. But I've also realized over the course of time that it impacts more than just like physical pump up, it's an emotional and mental pump up too. So to me, what does it mean to be as swift as a coursing river? Is it's about the mind for me. It's letting those thoughts, it's allowing myself to separate wise mind, my mind, from who I am as a whole being, and let those thoughts that don't matter rush by. And that allows me to then be swift of action or swift of thought or swift of character because I've already self evaluated um, the thoughts, and I have done it without grievance and without putting myself down for it, and I can do it quickly. So to me, that's what it means to be as swift as a coursing river, is to be mentally swift and allowing yourself to process those emotions and those thoughts and then acting upon the ones you know to be right.
Yeah, I like that. Like, right? I think being decisive with how you process your feelings and your thoughts and not getting bogged down is a really great way to really put that. And not holding on to shit, right? Like that's huge. Uh, how do you embody the force of a great typhoon?
I come out of nowhere, man. That was
Yeah,
nice.
you do. Yeah,
You
you
got a
do.
nice little voice there, dude. I wasn't expecting more on the tenor side from you. I would have seen you as like a baritone. Um,
I got
maybe a
quite the
low tenor.
range, but when I was a kid, I was singing all the way around the house, and I don't think my parents meant anything bad by it, but they're like, "Oh, why are you always singing?" So I stopped. Like, say I didn't ever feel comfortable singing publicly, but I got some pipes.
I
But
don't
I'm
feel that's my problem too, is I never feel comfortable singing publicly.
yeah,
Um, but though my parents didn't put me down, and I'm because I at one point used to tell people to have, and that shitty thing. Everybody can pitch or off pitch, as long as you're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do I? So did you ask the second question? How do I
I
enforce?
haven't.
How do
I
I
asked the
embody?
second
Oh,
question. How do you? I was trying to do a little bit of a mix there, but yeah. How
no,
do
I
you
like
embody
it.
the force of a great typhoon?
Well, I think I came in and just sort of came out of nowhere. So maybe I'll take my Substack experience as a great typhoon is I
Absolutely.
just sort of came in out of nowhere. I didn't have social media presence before any of this. I didn't put myself out there in this way. And then I just came in swinging. I just came in hot. I blew in out of nowhere, and a typhoon lasts for a long time. They can be seasonal, but they are also very powerful. But like they they last for a long time. They stay there. They make rivers start coursing and flowing faster. They enact faster thoughts. They help push things, sometimes in a bad way because they do flood, but they change landscapes and they can change things. So I came in hoping to heal myself, and now I'm hoping to be able to pass that on and continue passing it on. So I think that's
Yeah.
what I mean as a great typhoon.
Yeah. And how are you as strong as a raging fire? I feel like those two have a little bit of overlap, but
They
what?
They do a little bit of overlap. I think the raging fire one for me is I am forceful and authoritative in what I
Mhm.
talk about. And I choose to do that because it's who I am. And a raging fire to me is contained, is a contained fire. It's a strong fire that isn't out of control. It's not wild. Whereas a typhoon can be wild. Like the force of a great typhoon can be really wild, can be really, really destructive at times. The strength of a raging fire is the fact that it's contained chaos or contained heat. And raging fires tend to be where they're the most, where you get the blue flames, where you get the powerful flame that is the hottest and burns the brightest in the middle. And to me, like, I want to just I come in and I keep my emotions hot in the background sometimes. Like I have that fire going just constantly. Like it's contained within me, but it's a tamed fire. It's raging inside, but it's in a way that hopefully is approachable at times, but also forceful when it needs to be. Like I don't back down on my opinions unless they're wrong.
Unless they're
And
wrong.
then if they become wrong, then yeah, I'm going to correct myself.
Okay.
Um, but I'm not going to back down on my opinions on things that I know to be right. And I'm not going to take gaslighting or
Mhm.
abusive comments. And I'm not going to let others in my community be hurt when things unfortunate happen. Like I'm going to take that fire that I have inside and use it to protect those that I care about. And that's a lot of people, but because I think everyone has value. Um, but those who are actively touching my life, I'm also going to um, protect. Like I know you are part of me, and gaslighting is the wrong way to attack a raging fire, like Jandra just said, because you're literally putting fuel into that fire to
Yeah.
burn.
No, it's like I think we're at a point where you know integrity is a novelty, um, and I think people are starting to realize that integrity is a choice. It's been a choice for a long time, and that a lot of people just are not choosing integrity, right? Like it's not
Mhm.
profitable, right?
Yeah.
That's capitalism. Integrity is not profitable.
Yeah.
Um,
And choosing to
so,
place blame on other people for their own actions
mhm,
is very much what we're living through right now on a governmental level, but also on like we we see it at times in our smaller levels, in our groups, in our communities. Like I think integrity is super important, and when those who question my integrity come at me for it, I stand up for myself. And I don't think it's inappropriate to do so. I think it's appropriate to stand for your integrity. And it's better when you know you're in the wrong to stop digging the damn hole.
yeah,
Like, that's what we're living through under right now, projection of blame and placing blame on others where it's not supposed to be because it wasn't their fault or they aren't the source of your anger or they aren't the source of your problem. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I'm a millennial. I grew up under the gaslighting of being a millennial. Like, I've literally been blamed my entire life by other adults for shit we aren't part of. I was blamed as a teenager for crashing the housing market. I was blamed as a teenager for killing the diamond industry, the napkin industry, the paper towel industry, the golfing industry, which all of which are still fucking here. So fuck you guys. Um, we were blamed for every single issue that happened. So no, I'm not going to continue to be gaslit. I'm not going to have people attack integrity. I think that's a huge thing. And having that raging fire inside me forces me or encourages me to stand up for that. Um, yeah, Zev Shalev has vindicated all millennials. It wasn't our fault.
no, no.
We didn't
And
do any of it.
you
It was
know,
all
no,
Epstein's
the
fault.
only people at fault here are the people who chose to. I There's
You
powerful
will,
people who made a lot of choices,
yeah.
but then there's a lot of people along the way who chose to look the other way for comfort. And that's like where maybe these people aren't bad, but what they did was bad. Because regardless, like me and Nick's a millennial, I'm Gen Z, right? Like we, like Nick was born in the housing market, crashed in his life. Why? Because of Zev Shalev's work, we know why it happened, but
Hmm. Yeah, not
it's
our fault. I
not
wasn't
your
part of
fault.
it.
You know whose
We
fault it was? Jamie
Yeah, like
Dimon?
my generation was part of the group being trafficked, not the ones trafficking. We
Exactly.
are the ones who were
Who were
trafficked. All
trafficked.
the women, a majority of those women are elder millennials, are in my
Mhm.
generation. A majority of those girls would have been high school compatriots with my brother, maybe with me. Like, we are the ones who got abused and are being abused, just like so many other people. But like I said earlier from my article, silence is endorsement. And I've learned that. And I have internalized that is that silence is endorsement and we cannot be silent because I didn't speak up when they came for the Jews or the gypsies or the others. And then they came for me and nobody was left. And I'm not going to allow anybody to be alone because we have the power to stop it before it gets to that point.
Yeah.
And silence is endorsement of those actions.
And why? Sorry.
So
How?
no more gas. So I'm done being gaslit is really the big thing. Is I refuse to lean into that. I refuse to participate into it. I refuse to acknowledge it. And if you're going to gaslight people because you feel slighted, that's a you problem. Take a look inside. That's all
Yeah.
we're asking in this series is just suck less.
Suck less.
So take a look inside. and stop blaming other people for your own faults. Acknowledge where there was fault on both sides or on any side, and then move the fuck on. That's what we are doing in this project. That's what we are doing for, that's why this series is continuing, because mostly men, but women too, mostly men need to get that idea into their fucking head. Is that it's okay to be wrong, just admit it and move on.
Move on.
Move on.
Move.
And admit it. Just admit it. Just a unqualified, I'm sorry. Sorry I did this specific thing to you. This wasn't, either it wasn't my intent, but be honest and apologize for what you do wrong. And defend yourself for the right actions to the end. I will not compromise my values just because someone else wants to gaslight me.
Yep.
Not going to happen. Like,
Yep.
that's how you should be. That's how you should be. And
I know.
willing to learn when you're wrong. I'm not going to compromise my values, but I'm going to correct my actions when I'm wrong, because I know the values that I have are pro-human and pro-decency, and that's what we're trying to create. And if you want to be a part of that community, welcome.
Yeah.
If you don't, like the individual at the beginning of this show who just wanted to be an asshole and come in the chat, and I blocked them from being able to comment. I didn't block them from the chat itself. Like, if they stayed, great. I hope you learned something today. Now you know, so you can grow.
Yeah.
You can buy one on the Sick of This shop now today for not too bad price, shipping included.
There you go.
We did some updates to the shop on that. That's why I bring this up, is we did some updates to the shop around shipping, because that was an issue and I wanted to correct it. And so it's now built into our price for the product itself. So when you buy anything from the Sick of This shop, if you want to go to that QR code and buy some merch, we got some really cool stuff. You don't have to pay any extra shipping. It's built into your cost already. So there's no weird extra stuff at the end, because the drop ship sites can be really expensive for shipping. And I didn't want you guys to have to get messed with that. So fixed it, solved it.
Your last question.
Yeah.
How are you as mysterious as the dark side of the moon?
Creativity. I allow myself to be creative. This is the only question that I've been preparing for. Like, I have been literally thinking about just this one question outside of, analyzing the whole series, but like to answer in the interview. This is the one question that I have like really thought onto, and it's creativity. It's what makes me mysterious. Because I was like, what actually makes me mysterious? Like, I talk about myself all the fucking time. I tell stories about myself. I let myself be out here vulnerable. I think the creativity lets me maintain mystery, because you don't know what's coming. Like, I let myself have a side that just is unique. Like, I walk around my house singing. Like, if you didn't know me, that would be a mysterious thing. Like, it would be unexpected that this bearded dude is going to go walk around his house singing in a mid baritone voice to his dogs or whatever music is on. And I love to overshare. And thank you everyone for being here with us for this. This has been incredible. Thank you, Shane, for doing this with me.
I'm happy to do it.
I think the creativity is where I maintain my mystery, is I allow myself to be creative and let my inner dialogue sometimes come out in creative ways that aren't just like words. So for me, that's what allows me to be mysterious.
It's fantastic. Well, guys, I had a secret goal myself coming into this this interview, and it was to learn as much as I could about Nick as possible, so that I could give a really nice outro for Nick. And I think that we have really learned so much about you, Nick, and your motivations and doing what you do. You know, my admiration for you grows every time we talk. But you know,
I appreciate you, man.
you're welcome. The most profound thing about this, and I think everyone in the chat is going to agree with me when I say this, is you are an anchor. You have been through a lot, and you carry that. As much as you maybe don't want to, you do carry that. And your work that you have done, whether that is acting as the anchor for your family, placing you, but yourself between these different people in your family so that you can bring people together, even when you might not have the best relationships with all of them. You were, you made took those steps to make your family even more whole so you could be that anchor in your daughter's life, right? You come here and you act as an anchor for the moral compass of what you think to be right. You are an anchor in the community. You pivot. You take me over here, this crazy dude who's 25, who is suspicious fuck about everybody and overanalyzing it, and you bring me and connect me with these other people that I could never do myself. You're an anchor for me. You anchor people all over, and you are really, really just someone who has had to put in the work and who has suffered. Man, you've suffered, and despite that, you choose to be creative. You choose to make things. You choose to view the world as changeable, which is a choice. And you're anchored in that. And I think that you provide so much for the future. I think you provide so much for men. And the reason you and me have a lot in common. In terms of the bullying and all that thing. And I think that what I can tell you, at least I've decided from my experience in similar situations, obviously I wasn't getting mortar shelled while I was asleep. But
The worst one is that the one that hit 2 feet away from our fucking bathroom. And thankfully it did not explode, because then we would have had shit everywhere.
Was it like
however,
a ditch? Like
no, like a literal, like we on base, we had like Connex containers that were almost like built-in porta-johns that had metal buildings around them. It had our showers in it, and the next nearest one was a mile away. So we would have had no fucking bathroom had they hit the damn thing.
Kendra says, "Oh shit."
Yeah, literal "oh shit" was what we said too, man. Like, we were like, no, this shit. And we had one of our dudes was in the fucking bathroom when it landed there. And we were like, or had just been in the bathroom, and we were like, oh my God, like, please don't fucking blow up. Like, please don't do this, man. Don't be the shitter
the worst
exploding.
way to go, dude. That's the worst way to go. Dying
I can't imagine a worse way.
Yeah.
I can, but I can't imagine, like, while you're just sitting there, just doing nothing, a worse way to go than going on the bathroom.
No kidding, man.
But they missed. And that was good.
Yes, it did miss. And, you went through all these things, and you know what? All those bullies, they missed too, bro, because you're still here. And you're still doing the thing that they saw in you all those years ago, whether it was on the playground, whether it was at work, whether it was in the army. They attack you because they see that you are a threat to their perception of the world. They see that you're a man with empathy. They see that you're a man that cares. They see that you're a man who is willing to, talk to the people outside the base and have relationships and explore their culture. That threatens small, weak men. And they attack, people like that. They try and keep them down. They try and keep them suppressed to maintain a status quo. And that is something that you never let them do. and despite they've tried your whole life. So, up until this point, right? Whether it was in the army or at soccer or, at your job, you've held on to your creativity, and you've really held on to your internal, right? That internal fire, like that never went away in you despite that. So I am very happy to have had the opportunity to interview you. I'm happy to have the opportunity to know you. I'm happy to have the opportunity to shake things up with you. And let's just take away from this, guys. I think that being creative and being able to self-reflect and know where you fall short, those two things are all you need for self-improvement, is to be creative and to be able to recognize your own shortcomings, because we're all creative. Everything is an act of creation. Everything that is human is an act of creation. Like, we're all artists, and I redefine art. Your art can be working on yourself. So thank you guys for coming and to this interview. I'm not your son, and
I'm not your dad.
Yes, this has been Nick Paro's Intelligent Masculinity series with our guest, Nick Paro, who was a fantastic interviewee today. So
Thanks,
thank you.
Brother.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother. And I'm going to transition us to a final scene because I can, to promote our work real quick so that you can. So if you haven't already, come subscribe with me here on Sick of This Shit Publications. That's the QR for Substack. You can also find us on YouTube and Twitch. And Blue Sky now as well. We're working on getting stuff into Blue Sky more. I worked on some automations yesterday to announce our shows when they're starting. Shane's was the first one that got announced yesterday through Banner and Backbone's broad banner affiliate announcement of when the shows start, and then with a link to either Substack or Twitch. I'm working on getting it with Substack, Twitch, and YouTube, so you can go find us wherever you want and follow. Working on some really cool stuff, but this is the home of the masculinity growth, and where I'm confronting chronic illnesses and discussing them and living with them. And Ziggy, I'll add in here it's shop.sickofthishitpublications.com. You can find all of our stuff there. It's shop.sickofthishitpublications.com. We have a new FDT line, which is our foxglove daisy tulip line of flower paraphernalia. We have chronic illness discussion merch. We have our notes of the week merch, including sweatshirts, coffee mugs, both left and right-handed, because I'm left-handed and I like being able to promote the stuff outward.
You don't like having to look at your own mug all the time?
No, I actually like looking at my mug so that other people can look at the cool picture on the mug.
Well, you get to look at your mug because you're looking at a camera, but if you're just normally going about your day, how do you show off your mug all the time if you're not doing
I wear it on my back on my hoodie so that I can always share the picture forward. And then we also have some other stuff in there, including our new Just Don't Suck water bottle, which is a 32-ounce steel straw lid water bottle, so you can suck while just sucking less with Sick of the Shit Publications.
Don't let a fascist be more hydrated than you. Don't
let the fascists be more hydrated.
Be more hydrated than the Nazis. That's all you have to do. Just drink more water. If you're ever
as the army taught me, take a knee, drink water, take an Advil, you'll be fine. Move on. And so go have a big water bottle with a sucky lid so that you can suck less. With Sick of This Shit Publications. And Shane, I'm going to add yours up because you have been my interviewer and I want you to promote yourself. Let's see if I even have your new one on here.
It's okay if you
there it is.
Nice.
Got you.
Cool. All right. Well, so I'm Shane. I am if you guys probably know me, but if you don't, I'm the founder and geopolitical analyst at the Firebrand Project. We're going through a little bit of a
Reawakening.
refocusing. We're reorienting because the thing I do really well, I'm a good researcher and I am a good analyst. I like systems. I like putting them together. But what we really need right now is a place where people can get the information that is being used to report. I want to build a bridge between the sources and the places that the mainstream media is going to pull and put their own spin on. And I just want to be that bridge to give citizens and citizen journalists a place to go to get verified open source reporting, facts focused work. And that's really what we're doing. We do daily geopolitical reportings here through Banner and Backbone as well, where me and Nick collaborate so I can bring geopolitics to the people at Banner and Backbone. And you can go to those daily. There's a brief newsletter in there. We just expanded big time. We have a TikTok now. So go and subscribe to the TikTok. There's a link tree in my bio where all of our socials are listed. We're on Threads, we're on Blue Sky, we're on Instagram, we are on X even. Yes, I'm even on X because I want to make sure that we can get that information out everywhere. And also eventually I do get to at Elon Musk. I feel like we all have to do it once. So, but that's a great way to get that kind of news, right? What Nick does really well here, you know, I kind of do the other side of that area at Substack where I'm really just trying to create that space where people can get concise, precise, transparent information. You know, that like I just really want to highlight for folks that you don't need a personality per se. Like a reporting is not a person, it's a process. And so the process when you're getting your news, I call it the 6 Qs. You've probably heard of them: who, what, when, where, why, how. Every reporter has the ability to provide you with all of those things because we live in the age of the internet. Open source information is there. Analysis and accurate information following those 6 Qs should be the standard for independent journalism. And that's what I want to bring to you guys, because I believe that that's extremely important at this moment in time. It's about being decisive and getting people access to what they need to do to make those educated decisions in their lives. And I give you guys pretty good analysis. I have a pretty decent track record so far in terms of you know what I've
You're pretty spot on, dude.
Yeah, pretty solid track record. So you know, if you got an hour a day, or even if you don't, you can always read the newsletter. But I am confident to say, if you really want that verifiable information, that you know you can take that and go and talk to someone about it with confidence. This is the Firebrand Project is going to continue to be a place where you can get that going forward, and that's what I'm proud to be going in that direction. And I'm still figuring it out, but definitely check out the TikTok, because I'm going to be doing 60-second and 30-second 6Q breakdowns, where you can just get the full scoop on a story in about 60 seconds in a quick TikTok. And, you know, basically take that kind of independent journalist model and actually give you everything you need in those 60 seconds to understand that. So everyone's out there doing it. We're just going to do it better and hop on for the ride.
Love it.
Yeah, that was long-winded.
Love it,
I
no, man, we're
today.
both long-winded. We're both long-winded. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to do one last thing. And Shane, you don't have to stay for this part. If you've got to drop off, this will take a couple seconds. So everyone in the live, bear with me while we do this, is I'm going to add a new scene to this show that we're on, and it's going to hide Shane and I in the end. And I'm going to play for the first time on full release the intro song that I have for this series. It's called Water Jazz. It's a piano solo piece that's about 12 and a half minutes long. So if you want to stay and listen to some really good, in my opinion, really fun piano music for the last 12 and a half minutes without seeing or hearing Shane or I, please stick with me, stick with us, hang out, and have a little bit of classical music. So let me explain the piece real quick while I start all of this. Just give me a second, y'all. Playing around with things is this piece was written 2010, I believe, 2009, 2010, when I was doing a summer music festival, and I had been writing. No, I am not singing I don't actually have my voice recorded in any of the pieces that I have for records, at least in terms of the music that I've written. I've never written for my own voice, but I have written voice pieces for others to be able to sing. But this piece was inspired. I captured and caught a whole bunch of license plate numbers. Like I would write them down, or I would note them down, and then I converted them into music. I think I told you a little bit about this one when we were on with John Oliver. Was I took license plate numbers and I took the numbers and the letters and I transcribed them into musical notation, because you can do that. There's a pattern that you can follow. You can follow patterns and you can make everything into numbers, basically. And so I did, and it turned into this complex and beautiful piano solo piece called Water Jazz. And so I want to share it with y'all. So stick with me, stick with us for the last 12 and a half minutes. Shane, like I said, you're free to drop off if you need to, brother, and prepare for your day. We'll see you here in a couple hours anyway. And friends, before we do this, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening in on this wonderful discussion. I had a great time being interviewed, and it was fun to be able to get asked the questions that I had written and asked to others. So thanks, Shane. I appreciate you, man.
I'm happy to do it. I think we all learned a little something that we can take away. So I know I did. So I will say goodbye to you guys. I got to go. And, if you go follow the TikTok, I'm going to be putting out a briefing on the situation between Cuba and the United States with the speedboat, where you had an exchange of fire. So if you guys want to get the latest on, there's actually going to be a TikTok up here pretty soon where I'll break that down, give you all 6 cues. So if you want to know more about that,
awesome,
make sure you go and follow the TikTok. But I will see you guys all later today for the Firebrand Report. I hope all of you guys can make it. It'll be on Banner and Backbone, which you probably could be watching through Banner and Backbone right now. So if you are, you know where to go.
Probably could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Goodbye, you are.
Friend. Burn bright.
Thanks, Shane. Yes. I appreciate you, brother. Burn bright, brother.
Absolutely. We'll see you later.
See you, man. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do, like I said, something special here at the end. And I'm going to play this piece of music for you. Jason, I do not remember what key I wrote it in. I have the score. I have the score somewhere with me, but not on so I don't have it visible to tell you. Sorry about that. But I'm going to hide my face. And this is going to be one of the pieces that gets released onto the publication at some point soon, as we get to our next subscriber goal of 300 paid subscribers. So please come become a paid subscriber here at Sick of the Shit Publications if you can. Help support the network grow, and help me release other pieces of music. So thanks, y'all. I hope you enjoy these last 12 minutes as you get to experience some water jazz.